Okay, hello, and welcome to Asheville 8 Note, Asheville parentheses PM into parentheses 8 Note, the usually Wednesday weekday live stream, but this one may or may not be pre-recorded. I'm Sam Irvin here in Irvin Music Studio in Asheville, North Carolina. This live stream has different Asheville musician guests on every week to chat for an hour and jam for an hour. A way for me to just carve out time to be creative for creative's sake, have fun with music rather than be on the grind with it, and to meet other members of the Asheville music community. To build some community, get to know people, or meet people for the first time. Like today, meeting Merrick Noyes, and I've only met the other guest, Steve Okonski, once before. Both great keys players. Both just released new releases, new albums, EPs. Long players or short players? Short players, yeah. Out of Habit for Merrick, and Magnolia, right, by Steve's jazz trio. I'm excited to talk to them about what went into those projects and what their career is like, and I don't know, maybe get some tips and tricks about composing or arranging or performing or whatever other hats that they might wear. I teach private music lessons. I'm primarily a guitarist, but this week I chopped my finger chopping vegetables, so I haven't been able to practice or demonstrate or accompany my students or practice drums, which I love to do. Luckily, I have no performances coming up. I do event entertainment, often for weddings and corporate events and stuff like that. Still producing in the studio though, and this live stream sort of falls into that third department of sound production stuff that I do. And we're going to utilize the studio a little later today to jam on a bunch of Moogs stuff and the drum kit. I'm sure I can twist knobs even with my situation here. But before I ramble on too long, why don't you guys come on down and join me and ramble with me, hopefully. Steve Okonski, and Merrick Noyes, thank you so much for joining me on a Saturday morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Have you guys been on like a vodcast before, or an interview sort of situation?
I've been on something similar, sort of like a webcast thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do they deserve a shout out, or?
If I remember the name.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, this one's Asheville 8 Note, in case anybody asks you that question in the future.
Yeah, I'll remember that one. That one's going in the vault.
Okay,
I got
it. You guys are all over as well, right? On Spotify, I think I could listen to both of those albums, which I did this morning. Some real nice vibes. Measured, balanced. Like I thought the beats were really robust. What did you use to produce that stuff? What DAW and what sort of equipment? And then we'll get to the jazz trio.
Please.
First of all, thank you. I use primarily Ableton Live for all my producing and production. So in terms of beat making, there's a few plugins that I have and use. There's some great drum sounds within Contact, and basically just sequencing drums. Some of the beats I've played on keyboards and sort of filled out with, sampling actually live instruments like shakers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Also inside of Ableton, just recording direct in.
Mm-hmm. That's basically where I spend most of my production time, is just within Ableton. I've dabbled with Logic Pro for a little while, but sort of just fell back into Ableton. Just my approach. I feel like Ableton's a great DAW for, you can approach it in a million different ways and get something interesting out of it. And so a lot of my production technique is sort of self-taught and like trial and error. And then I've got a lot of great friends who are like deep in the Ableton world who I can call upon if I have questions. So
yeah, I think it is, I understand that it's sort of unbeatable, no pun intended, making beats, right?
Yeah.
I've been procrastinating getting on Ableton for a long time, clocking all of the Moog stuff inside of Ableton and getting those little loops set up. Using Pro Tools, I just do I think it's so much more time consuming probably to just, record the loop on the synth in real time and just sit there and wait for 5 minutes until I get the whole song's worth of the loop. I called you a keyboardist up top, but is that sort of your main thing?
Yeah.
Or are you more of a beat producer?
I don't know if I could call myself a beat producer at this point.
Or do you even like the term beats? Because I feel like I've been throwing that at you.
Yeah, no, that checks out. And I guess I'd call myself an aspiring beat maker, music producer. I feel like I'm still like in the student phase of figuring things out.
Me too.
Yeah. Which I feel like is a good mentality, especially with an Ableton, because there's so many places you can go within that DAW, and it's interesting to just you never feel like you've got it all figured out. There's always more things to dive into, and so I've been sort of dabbling for years and gotten some results that I'm happy with. So
that's cool. Yeah, it is. I like your result. Do you have any other albums out? I didn't get a chance to explore.
I do. I have, let's see, I have an album called Adaptogen that I released, I think in 2019, I think. So it's been a little while since I put out some music, and both of the albums I have out right now are almost entirely instrumental. There's some vocals, but mostly instrumental. And I've just got like a library of so many unfinished songs just waiting to maybe see the light of day, or maybe just remain on my computer until the end of time. So a lot of it is just songs that I've been developing and then revisiting over a matter of years, and then get to the point where I'm happy enough to share it. Although I never really feel like I'm quite there, so usually I have to just like make the call and be like, this is finished. So many
decisions like that are it's difficult to judge when the end is, when everything's endless. Like, when is the perfect sound in Ableton, when you can just keep diving in? Like, Ben Hovey was on the show. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was at one time the only person who's certified in Ableton, like in the Southeast. And he came on and he plays trumpet and keys, and he could use the system of like quick loop recording
like the live
in Ableton.
looping.
Yeah. To create polyphonic trumpet sounds where like the keys he was pressing on his keyboard mapped to like tuning his trumpet note in various ways so he could play trumpet chords. Just pretty wild.
That's something that I've done something similar recently, using the simpler within Ableton. I've been taking vocal samples and dropping them in, and then just taking like a really pure piece of somebody's vocal and assigning that to the keyboard. And so some of the sounds on this new release, the chords are being played with essentially somebody's voice.
That's pretty awesome.
And it gets this sort of airy, breathy quality that is kind of hard to recreate with a synthesizer. And so there's like this human element that you don't necessarily know is a human element unless you know how the sound was built, but there's something that adds a little depth to it, which is nice.
Yeah, there's a female voice on your album too, right? Who is that?
That's my dear friend Lily Ann Murat, and she's a really talented musician herself.
Does she sing in French at various times?
She does, yeah.
I love that. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Love Stereolab.
Yeah.
Love that vibe. Yeah.
Lily's got a tremendous voice. She and I were in a band for years called Third Nature. We moved to Asheville together in 2013 as a band. We've since parted ways, but she and I are still sort of trying to keep the music thing alive and keep collaborating. And so some of the sounds actually on the new EP are made with her voice too. So not just like sampling her voice and having her sing, but also like, building some instruments with her voice too.
Yeah, that's cool. Steve, we're going to get to you in just 1 second.
No, I'm more interested in this, honestly.
Okay, good. Yeah, you just keep hanging out.
Yeah, I feel like I need to switch seats right now. I feel like,
in the middle of something
I'm in the
here.
way, yeah.
No, I like it. I like a little bit of distance.
Fair enough. All
My
right.
heart. I don't know, something about growing fonder. Well, just the last question. No, I got a zillion of them for you guys. I'm a host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep them coming.
How do you balance work and life? No, I'm just kidding. What is out?
Where do you get your
Do we
idea?
only have an hour here?
Inspiration. When does it strike? What's your process? Well, we were talking about trying to, I've heard that from a lot of guests that, they had all these songs and they thought about getting, putting more work into them, but then they decided, I just want to release them and be done with it and move on to the next thing. But also, that has to be a decision about like, I'm proud of these, you've already put a satisfying enough amount of work into it. Tell me about how you draw that line, and like, does it have anything to do with the title of your EP, Out of Habit? Because I think you have to build up a tendency or a disposition to like let go.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the name for that is, it's also the name of the second song on the EP. It's sort of, I was exploring the double meaning in that, you can do something out of habit because it's something you're used to doing and it just comes naturally, or it just comes through you in sort of a habitual way, but also the idea of like getting out of your habits. So
out of your routine,
Like a nun.
like
Like a nun getting ready for a bath.
exactly.
Right, exactly.
This is all
Perfect.
the PR the EP needs.
That's what the album spoke to me about. It felt like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Midnight bath time meant the nunnery.
That was going to be the name, and then I called it Out of Habit instead.
It still alludes.
Yeah.
it just came out. There's time for a music video, I
Right.
think.
This is great. We're spitballing here, but we got some good imagery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great imagery.
Great. But yeah, speaking to the idea of releasing songs that you're not sure if they're finished yet, I mean, it's really hard to draw that line. And I like what you said about, not just releasing it because you aren't sure what to do with it, but because you're proud of where it is. And there is a lot of that. I listened to these songs a million times throughout the process, obviously building them, and then it's easy to just over listen, and your ears become so accustomed that you almost need to take a solid break and then return to it to know if you're really liking what you're hearing. And with these songs, I realized that they didn't really need me to add anything else for them to be complete. It was sort of me just nitpicking it, and there was a point where I realized that they were finished and they weren't doing anybody any good just sitting on my hard drive. So it felt really good to release them, and I got a lot of good feedback. I didn't do I didn't really hype it up or have it build up. I sort of just decided one day that I would do it, which is different than I've done in the past, especially with the band. You usually want to build it up and have a show around the release. And so this was sort of a different process, but still felt good to get it out there. And yeah, getting good feedback is just motivating me to get back in the studio and keep making music. So
Can I ask Merrick a question?
Please.
Do you
Because I'd run out.
do you ever listen? So your previous release is Adaptogen, this newest one, Out of Habit. Do you ever, when you're at home working, cleaning, whatever, do you ever put on your music just to listen to for enjoyment, or are you someone who doesn't like to listen back to stuff? And the same goes for you as well. I wonder, like, for the music you make, do you listen back to that for enjoyment once it's done?
that's a good question.
Thank you.
I don't typically do that if it's been released.
Okay.
But the exception to that, I listened to the latest album by Third Nature, my band, and that was like a nostalgia trip. I hadn't really listened to our music in years. It had been like maybe 2 years since I'd really like put on our music, and I realized I really loved it, and there was like this pride that I felt, and also just like felt like I had circled around to listening to it with very fresh ears, which I hadn't for so long. And so it felt like I was listening to it just not for the first time, but there was like a newness to it.
But that came with having an amount of space in between creating.
Exactly. It was almost like there was a few years and I was like, wait, this album was good. I know it was good. One of the songs had popped into my head and I was like, I should probably revisit this. And it felt really good to listen to. And, you know, there's the nostalgia factor and also just this like idea of like, this is good music. Like it's easy to be like really self-critical, especially like leading up to releasing it. And then once you do and not really being sure how it's going to be received. And so it was nice taking a break and then returning and just acknowledging that it was music to be proud of. But in terms of my solo stuff, I've listened to like the stuff that's about to be released or is almost finished. I listen to just like way too much. I try to put it on every different speaker I can if I'm mixing it. And so
not for like joy,
but that's not for joy. That's like hyper critical, just like what is sticking out in terms of the mix and different in the car speaker and like a Bluetooth speaker and different headphones. And so, yeah, that's not exactly for enjoyment.
What about you, Sam?
I think mine feels about the same. Like I don't go back and listen to my stuff that I've done on one hand because I made music for just the enjoyment of the tinkering. So the release never is met with a lot of acclaim or like I've never really pushed it. I'm working on a big album right now and I listen to that, you know, I'm writing it all out in sheet music. And so I pay attention. I absorb that like pretty much daily. And some days I hate it and I'm like, what? This is all trash. And then some days I am really proud of what it's going to be. But, you know, I've got this, you know, over the past year, I didn't really release much. I was more into capturing video, you know, of solo classical guitar or string ensembles or jazz ensembles at weddings and trying to edit those together into some sort of media, mostly as samples, but also there's a certain joy and pride of that, but also it just feels like work to edit that together for advertising reasons. And then starting this live stream.
Samples as in like reels to show prospective clients, you mean?
Right, okay. Not like string hits.
Yeah,
I think that would be awesome.
That was where my mind went at first. I was like, oh, little string samples.
That'd be cool, yeah. A cello. Yeah, caught on one of these Q2N
Yeah,
speakers.
This isn't just cello, this is wedding cello.
Right, yeah. There was love in the air.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Some magic.
It comes through.
But I've got an improv duo, Dino Birds. We've put out like 4 EPs, and I'll put those on to clean.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I do listen to previous stuff for fun. Yeah, especially the last album. It's just, I find it very relaxing and calming.
Magnolia?
Yeah. I find it very chill. And so I like listening to that. But, like, I mean, maybe in a similar way, that was all, you know, improvisational as well. So I think there's something about not having listened to it 1,000 times previously, trying to nitpick little things, and still just kind of soaking it in for the enjoyment of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's you. You're right in front of that trio, for sure. I think it's your trio, right? Is it the Steve Okonski trio?
Yeah.
Okonski.
Yeah, we just call it Okonski because I felt like calling it the Steve Okonski trio is like too jazz, like on the head, like
Okons 3.
Yeah, or Okonskis. Like, there's so many different puns, but I'm just tired of that, and I don't think I'm not ready to add to that field of work quite yet.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I'm a little disappointed, but I get it.
But I sound just like my mom.
Why can't you? Have you guys watched the Weird Al movie yet?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, it's okay. But at the beginning, the mom is like...
Woof. I thought we were about to be berated.
The mom was at the beginning. The mom and dad are there, and they're like, "We've talked about it, and we've just decided that it would be better for all of us if you would just give up on your dreams and quit doing everything you love."
Wow, what a pep talk that is.
Harry Potter's in that, right?
Yeah. Harry Potter comes in on a broom.
No, isn't that Al?
Al is Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah, I love that guy.
What range?
Absolutely. Yeah. That, a guy with horns at one point, a dead body.
Okay.
I think in another movie.
Yeah, I saw that horns one. It was weird.
It was a real weird one. Yeah. But your album was weird in a good way. It was unique. I thought
it was weird.
It was well. It didn't sound like every other jazz. It was supposed to be a compliment.
That's fine.
Like generic.
We're still doing impressions of your mother. It was weird, but I still love you.
No, I mean the first track, and it's just you on keys, and the band kind of comes in after one round or a couple of the chorus, and it's nice. I couldn't tell, I mean it's jazz, so the chords are like irregular, and it was a pretty long circle, I was lulled into a sense of like, oh, this is nice, this is what I'm listening to, and then the band comes in, and I'm like, oh yeah,
right on,
yeah,
cool. Yeah, it was. Jazz is a weird term to use for anything, I feel like there's a lot behind that word, but that we just call it, kind of call it that for a lack of a better word, Spiritual music almost feels a little better because it's, improvisational and it's instrumental and it felt more like from the spirit, but, jazz is also, people seem to be thinking it's a jazz record, so I'm all about it. But we also called it that, so the marketing works.
Well, now I'm confused because you did call it jazz.
Yeah,
and
I'd say that
reevaluate
people. I mean, if people were approaching it and it was called spiritual music and they hadn't heard a note yet, it calls upon. To me, it calls upon different
like
music.
A gospel choir?
Well, maybe.
Sure.
Or maybe there's a medicine
music.
drum being played.
Oh, medicine music.
So jazz, I feel like it's got the people know somewhat what to expect, and I feel like there is some jazzy elements, but it is like a convoluted term.
What genre would you place your most recently release in? Jazz?
I was thinking like electro spiritual.
I dig that.
I don't know, man. It's tough. Some of them are sort of bouncy. One of them almost has like a housey beat, but it's really not house music. And so, not that. I could tell you a whole lot of things it's not. Would that be helpful?
No, that sounds boring.
Okay.
Not acid.
Sam, what is your project that you're working on? What would you call that?
My album is like very disjunct or like
I'm not familiar with that term.
Not in a musical genre technical sense. I don't know if that's a thing, but it's just very disconnected and sort of like ramshackle and like a pastiche of myself, sort of like John Zorn, Naked City, where they like shuffle through a bunch of stuff, or like Fiery Furnaces,
Okay.
So maybe some like psychedelia or like jazz. Fusion.
It's a catch-all. Yeah, absolutely.
Fusion, I think, is the word. Yeah.
Interesting. I can't wait to hear it.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm working on the last song right now, which is exciting. I shaved it down from 15 songs to 12. I've been working on it for a long time with like a sort of a collection of poetry and then a collection of little musical ideas, and it's taken a lot of willpower to not just try to release like one song, but rather like preserve the project in its sort of like wholeness or completeness. So a little bit of it is like distilling the lyrics down to preserve like their original meaning, when I was in a much different place in life. But also not trying to like embarrass myself with the lyrics that I'm putting in there right now. Have you guys tried to write lyrics before, or vocal melodies? Because that's very time consuming.
Big time. I often will bounce an instrumental song idea, and then just every time I'm in the car, I'll throw it on and see what vocal melodies come to me, and if they're worth keeping, I'll do a little voice memo. So that's usually where my vocal melody writing happens, is in the car, driving alone. Ideally, I'm alone. Actually, it just doesn't happen if I'm not, so.
You're not like, do you want to listen to me try some
you want to hear me
vocal melodies?
workshop some like god awful vocal melodies for the next like half an hour? Cool.
No.
All right.
That's what my answer would be.
I'll drop you out. You can get out. You can get out right here, buddy.
You picked me up for some reason.
Oh man. But yeah, in terms of writing lyrics, I definitely struggle with. I tend to overthink things, and I also, if I like lyrics, I really like them for very specific reasons, and vice versa. This is just listening to music in general, not necessarily my own. So that critical nature definitely creeps its way in, and it's easy for nothing to sound quite as good as you want it to when it's coming from you. That's been my experience lately. Something I'm trying to break out of. But
yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been using just this software MuseScore to write everything out on in standard notation. And so one thing about my vocal melodies is that I'm trying to have them not interfere, like no unison notes with any other instrument. Often the musical ideas already had melodies, so like the voice is like this counter melody thing happening, and that's tough. But what's tougher is listening to the crappy like MIDI instruments and trying to use my imagination. Like, this will sound cool, I hope
yeah.
You know. And I'm sure, you know, it feels like the big trudge is to get to the end of the composition part, especially with the voice and the vocal part, where yeah, there's a lot of like self-consciousness. It's so intimate and like inside, you know, your voice is like the primary node of expression for all of us. And so I suspect that once I start recording, everything will be like just checking boxes, you know, going through easy peasy, but it certainly will not. I'll go into that infinite, you know, oh, what is the perfect synth sound? How many microphones can I get on the guitar at once? And all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's when it can be helpful to have another person to bounce ideas off and be like, am I going crazy? Or does this sound good?
Yeah.
Or both.
Right, yeah. Steve, what about you, like with these piano parts? When you said the new album is all, well, you said it was improv, but is it all improv on the spot, or did you have some ideas going in?
Only the first track, Runner Up, that kind of scalar motion. I had that worked out, but even like the form and everything from onward, we all just kind of did on the fly. And so we just ran tape. I think we probably got like 5 reels. And then from there, took everything and kind of chopped it. I mean, didn't really do much editing, but just kind of curated it into, little 3, 4 minute, 5 minute songs to get the half hour that we ended up getting. There's a lot left on the floor, for sure. Are
you going to release the like take 2s or take Bs? You know?
I'm glad we have them. I don't know. I mean, maybe at some point, but for now, just happy with what we got, and gonna have another session like that hopefully this summer and try to get LP2 done.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You said that this was up in New York?
No, this was in Loveland, Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati. It's where the label Coal Mine Records is located. And so we recorded it there at the headquarters, which is above their record shop, Plaid Room Records, and Terry Cole, the owner of the label and the record store, did all the engineering and helped us out with that. So it was a very homey affair.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
when you say you ran tape, I mean, how many like inputs are we talking?
6.
Are you on an actual keyboard or an actual piano?
I'm on a Wurlitzer Spin-It piano. That was one mic.
On the spinning speaker?
This is just a piano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just on the soundboard, on the back of the soundboard. So that's one mic on that. Mike was playing bass. There's one mic on that. Kick mic, snare mic, overhead mic for the drums, and then room mic. So 6 mics total, and that was everything.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
it's a clean sound.
Thanks.
Coal Mine Records.
Yeah, it's a great label, and putting out great music.
How did you find them?
They had band Duran Jones and the Indications, who I play with. was originally signed to Coal Mine. And so anytime we were on tour and we were going through Cincinnati, we would always see Terry or stop at the label, sometimes crash there the first couple times. So I got to meet Terry and know him, and we formed a friendship, and he's just a real friendly, good guy. And at some point, he was interested in putting out something a little more jazz leaning on his label, and he knew I was into that kind of stuff. So we talked about it and kind of came up with a game plan, and kind of went from there. Okay,
nice.
Yeah.
Merrick, have you ever worked with another producer, or are you self-producing?
I'm self-producing, but the last album that my band Third Nature put out, our good friend Pete Winslow, formerly of the band Midnight Snack, some Asheville friends will know what I'm talking about. They're great. They were great. They are great. Great people. Pete produced our last album, so he did a great job. Another recording situation that felt kind of like Steve was describing, really homey and just a comfortable environment. We recorded in his home studio. And we recorded live, so it wasn't, a bunch of people punching in their parts. It was basically just our live setup and then fine-tuning it from there. I don't remember how many mics we used, but I think more than 6. But yeah, that was really fun. And in terms of just something I wanted to bring up, in terms of playing in a band, Third Nature has disbanded at this point, but most recently I've been playing, the gigs happen pretty few and far between, but there's a group called Pink Mercury. My good friend Stephanie Morgan she's sort of the leader of the pack, and it's all improvised. We've been getting together and just having some sessions, but for a while we would meet up at a venue and play a show. She's got a lot of great musical connections and was able to book us shows in Asheville, and we would just get up on stage and yeah, it's all improvised, but the nature of it was less jamming and more just like trying to really build songs on the spot. And Stephanie just had she brings such a great energy to the stage, and it's just, I feel like so much of improvising in front of people is just like believing that something good's gonna happen. So
what you're doing is
yeah,
cool.
Exactly. So much of it's psychological, and to have Stephanie sort of leading us, she has this sort of fearless approach to like getting on the microphone and exploring the space. And
is she singing?
She's singing.
Man, talk about the pressure there to like come up with words on the spot.
Exactly.
We were just talking about how tough that is.
And imagine if the vocalist in front of you is doubting herself or is unsure, like that just translates to the whole band, but the opposite is really what's happening up there. And she just like she's like, let's go on a journey and let's see where it goes, and really awesome things have come from that. So
yeah, I talked about the terrible comedy show I saw last night, and I haven't talked about which Saturday we're taping this on, so I feel like I'm not giving away what comedy show that was. But to watch somebody like flounder in front of you is pretty awful.
Yeah.
Have you guys had an experience like that where you are performing and eating it?
In the last couple of years, I've had like a few dreams where that's happening, and I like wake up with these cold sweats, and I'm like on stage, something wrong is happening, and all of a sudden like I'm realizing like my keyboard's not even plugged in, or there's some like major issue going on. I don't know where this is coming from, but it's somewhere in my subconscious, but like that feeling is so visceral.
And like your parents are in the front row watching you.
Shaking their head.
Right. We told you to quit.
Come on. Remember when we told you about your dream and how you should leave it behind? This is what happens. No. I can't really think of an example of that happening in waking life. Thank God.
That's good.
I'm sure there is prepared. One, but nothing recently. So
you've blocked it out.
Yeah, I've definitely. It's one of those traumatic moments that exists deep in my subconscious and only comes out in my dreams, I guess.
Bottled up. You're just slowly letting it out through like creative stuff. Like this bass part in this one song symbolizes like that.
Ooh, I hope that's how anxiety. It works. Just the slow release.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna pass on this one?
Oh no, I've literally any mistake you can make on stage, I've made it in front of a couple of people and in front of many people. Either I was supposed to play and I didn't. I wasn't supposed to play and I did. Didn't hit a key change in the wrong key.
Oof. I felt that one.
I've just done it all to the point where I'm not too worried about it anymore.
The band stops playing, you're still playing.
Yeah, it sucked.
I actually just remembered an example.
It was a bummer.
Just hearing you talk about that, I'm like remembering a time when this happened. So with Third Nature, we played at Salvage Station, and it was going well. I run Ableton on stage, and I have a lot of the sounds coming through a MIDI controller, and I'm also queuing backing tracks. There's a click track in our drummer's ear. So everything's synced to the clock. So it's very important that the computer cooperates. This particular show, I didn't realize what happened at the time, but afterwards I realized the input in the back of my MIDI controller had broken. There was like a little plastic piece where the USB plugs in, and it had broken. So there was MIDI feedback going between my MIDI controller into my computer and back, and it was glitching out the whole backing track situation. And we were trying to navigate that in real time. And I realized I just had to unplug that, and I attributed it to my computer and not to the MIDI controller. So we just dropped all the backing tracks and we're just kind of scrambling to remember what songs that we could just play without a click track or backing tracks, and which turns out we have plenty that we can, but it was just not the plan for the show. So it's like, all right, let's play these 5 songs that we haven't played in over a year, and I hope it goes well.
This reminds me of a story when I think we were in Bristol, UK, United Kingdom.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, UK.
And we've got in-ears in, and the house music is going, and then it goes down. And then we have intro music that we walk onto. It's the Morricone, very theatrical entrance we make. And so we get there, and we only enter to the first, maybe 50 seconds of it, and then we do some hits to finish it, and then we go into our first song pretty much immediately. Well, whoever was front of house on that tour didn't... They cut that intro music in the house, but it kept going in our in-ears, and so we had to play the song while this was going on in our ears, and like singing the harmonies and backups and leads and stuff. It was absolutely bonkers, and we're all just looking at each other the whole time because sonically it's a mess. I mean, not on stage,
and
but
the
in our
crowd's
ears.
just eating it up because they love it. And
Well, they don't hear what's going on. The crowd doesn't hear.
Everybody in the
It's
band
just,
looks stressed out, but it sounds good.
That was great.
And
that's a real, a real moment.
That's when you need to talk back, Mike, going right to the sound guy, being like, "Hey, buddy."
I mean, honestly, we could have just said it right into the mic at that point. It's like, what's the matter at that point?
Yeah, if it happened again, I feel like that's the lesson from a lot of those technical malfunctions, is that it would be so much better to just stop immediately and say like, "Oh, hey,
I don't know. I mean, we got through it, and I think it was okay. So, I guess it depends on how bad it is,
Yeah. Would you do it again? Like it, or
if I had to?
Yeah. Like if that,
did you guys have you had like monitors on stage? Could you just like pop your?
We don't have monitors on stage.
Oh, you don't?
No.
It's all in here. All right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like your options were limited there.
Yeah.
What
you gotta trust your people,
What in-ears do you use?
UE audio. I think it's UE. I can see the symbol. I believe it's UE or UA.
Not the Shure, the cheap Shure ones.
Nah, these are the ones that I got the foam in to get molded to the ears. And,
oh, cool.
You ever have that done? You ever get the foam in the ears?
No, but it's on the list.
Yeah, for gas, or are you gonna get some in ears?
Just for the sensation of the foam.
We can keep the
earpieces.
foam in my ears. Yeah.
Now they don't even do the foam. Now it's just lasers. They shoot lasers in there get the ear topography.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the foam, that's old news. That's your old man's method now.
Interesting. Lasers in the ears.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're the money makers. That seems worrisome to me.
More than just pumping a bunch of foam in there?
Foam I can see and understand.
Yeah. I've got a history with... I've got more of a history with foam than lasers, I think.
Fair enough. Okay.
The beach. Various pillows.
Pool noodles.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like the Nickelodeon sort of toys from youth. They were like foam. Like,
yeah, I always stuck those in my ear. Try to mold them.
Yeah, actually. Silly putty and stuff.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. There was a guy in town who had like this whole setup in his bedroom. But I think Michael Oliver is his name. And he designed in-ear monitors for people in town, just like in his bedroom, and like ordered the high-tech little tiny speakers, and you could like see all the little pieces.
Did you go in there?
Together.
Did you see his spot?
I did, yeah.
Like you go in there and then you like see where he sleeps.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's weird.
He's like, I'm gonna need you to fall asleep before I would do this to your ear. Hold on.
That's
it took up a substantial amount of his room.
For the bed.
More than half of his room.
The bed did?
The bed, well, yeah. I mean, I guess that usually
setup?
takes up the production setup. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was like a laser. There was a laser in there, but it was for like laser etching his like branding onto the wood panel on the side of the.
Cool.
They're pretty professional.
That's pro, yeah.
I was gonna go for him, but then I didn't. Because what's on your guys' list? What's like the next upgrade or like tech stuff, equipment that you need?
We'll get LASIK, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. But
okay.
TBD,
I hear you can smell it when
what
it
do you
happens.
Mean? Really?
You can smell
Are
burning
you awake
eyeball.
when it happens?
You have to be.
Think so.
Really?
And they prop your eyes open, and you have to like literally look at the laser as it's cutting your eye.
Like a Clockwork Orange style
if
situation?
they put you under, your eyes roll back, so they literally can't put you under, and they have to just like wedge your eyes open. And you have to stare into the
They
laser.
make you
That
watch
sounds
all.
How come no one talks
The
about
last thing
this?
they
No
tell
one's
you is to
ever
look into
mentioned
the
this.
light. Go into the light.
They
And
make
then
you
can
watch
see
all
the
this
stuff.
violent stuff and listen to Beethoven.
Okay. You know.
Then you sort of get sick, like
Right.
whenever
And you go drink a glass of milk.
with your droogies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy knows what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Milk.
real.
What about you? What kind of tech upgrade are you looking for?
Man, there's a lot of things that I
Synthesizer?
want. I gotta sell some gear at this point. I've got it.
What you got on the market?
I'm sitting on a bunch of. Let's see. I got like a Roland System 1, just a little synthesizer that I got. It was like one of those random Craigslist buys where it's like brand new, it's cheap, comes with a stand, and I was like, this is cool. I watched some demos. It had a fun sequencer that I was interested in, so I scooped it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, actually some of those sounds made it onto my album 2 albums ago, Adaptogen, but yeah, I just haven't. I feel like I hit the ceiling with that synth, and now it just is sitting looking brand new and just waiting for somebody to play it.
How much you selling it for?
I don't know. I think I got it for like $250
American?
So, yeah, probably
USD.
USD.
So would you try to get
Canadian
$250 for it?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't even.
This feels like step one in trying to sell something.
It does. Well, I didn't know I was going to be selling stuff on here, but this
I mean,
is.
when you have a
but here
platform
we are.
We'll
like
auction.
this.
I'll start the live stream.
Yeah,
I think.
start
We'll see
the auction.
Who's
yeah, I got to
who's
take
ready
an
to buy some
inventory. I got a
synths?
bunch of like gear that I just haven't touched recently, and I'm like, if I haven't touched this in over a year, I don't know if I need it.
Do you sell that Korg piano?
Why you interested?
No. But it's
No,
a
I
nice
think-
piano, though.
I think
I've
that
got
one-
enough pianos, but
That one's gonna stick around.
Okay.
Korg SV1
SV1 with the tube. With the tube
with
in
the
it.
tube.
Yeah.
Wow.
With tube. Tube's
Sweet.
usually extra, but yeah, I also have this synth Roland Phantom S. It's got some cool capabilities, some cool
I
presets.
think it's just phantoms.
Phantom.
Yeah.
You got there's a pause
just
in there.
plural.
The hyphen is just for show.
Phantoms.
Yeah, that one. It just feels like one of those lunkers that I just keep carrying around and wondering why I still have it.
Yeah, it sounds like you need a Moog.
Yeah,
How much are you thinking you want to get for that?
Probably like 500.
Really? What are those retail for?
I think I don't know actually. I was about to pick a number and realized that we're being recorded, so I'll have to do my research, but I don't know. It's not. I mean, it's an old synth. It's not something people talk about or even really know about. Whenever I brought it up, people are like, "What is that?" Roland Phantoms?
It must be a gas at parties.
Oh, big time. There was a keyboard that I've been looking at. It's a Roland FA06, and I just like the way that it can interface with Ableton. There's a little screen on it, and basically you can get the Ableton session view from your computer on that little screen. So in terms of performing songs through Ableton, it's a great way of sort of not just having my laptop up there. I can sort of feed everything through the keyboard. I can automate the different patches I want to play for each song. I can, change scenes within the keyboard itself. So that feels like not only a great piece of gear to have when I'm building music, but also if I want to perform.
And what was that again?
The Roland FA06.
Okay. Yeah, Roland, I think that's a good way to go. There was a Roland Juno down here for a while in '88.
What happened?
It, it's no longer part of my life. I moved on.
Fair enough.
I'm still moving on.
Absolutely.
Man, those Juno keyboards are amazing.
It was great. Now I just have a Casio. Womp, womp, womp.
I had a Roland Juno D for a little while, the super low end, affordable Juno that I got back when I was in high school, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever because it was a synthesizer that I could afford.
Yeah.
But it did have this cool feature, the D beam, which is like an infrared light that you could, assign. Basically, I assigned it as like an arpeggio, so I could just hold the chord down and be like lower, higher, and just basically like perform a solo.
I like theremin style.
As a wizard would. Cool. Yeah. That made me feel kind of cool for a little while.
Could you assign it to the cutoff?
You could, yeah.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
That's real wizardry right there.
But that one has also moved on, as Junos seem to do, I guess.
One day, one will stick around.
But a Moog, that's something, I've dabbled. Honestly, I'm a little intimidated by the whole, analog world.
I am only familiar with that world, and only because I happened to work at Moog for 5 years, and so that's where the collection comes from, and my knowledge is pretty limited to them. But
the collection is considerable.
It is, yes, and it's a more than a lifetime's worth of learning curve. I've worked my way through the manual of a couple, the Model D and the Mother. I'm pretty familiar with the Grandmother and the Matriarch too, but the one I'm really sort of procrastinating getting to the bottom of. But maybe with the finger thing, I should have done that this week. Opened up the manual on that.
There you go. You don't need that finger for that, unless you're like a lick the finger page turner.
Oh, I've got a question for you, Sam. What vegetable were you cutting when you cut your finger?
Oh, solid question. Okay. Well, I was making a stir fry. So, usually with a stir fry, you want to put in the stuff that takes longest to cook first. I just got a wok though. And this was the second stir fry I was making in it after I had learned the lesson that you really need to have everything chopped up and prepared beforehand with a wok because it heats up so quickly,
Hence the hasty chopping.
Yes, yeah, I was trying to get it in.
Merrick, let the man finish, please.
It's drawing connections.
Thank you. This is really important. I had actually just recorded another one of this. I Fancy and the Gentleman on. They were like a country trio, and we had done their episode at 12, and I had these plans that I was trying to get to at 6 or 7 downtown. I had just done that like song circle cacao ceremony that I was telling you guys about the night before, so I was so emotionally relaxed that morning and was just puttering around, and then had sort of a whiplash of like, oh wait, no, I have to set up all this gear, which thank you for being patient as I set up, plugged in all these cords today. Trying to juggle a lot with all these different guests, a very different mode from like sort of a sort of hippie medicine music place the night before to like a honky-tonk blues sort of conversation. Then I started chopping, so I got out the wok. And now I believe I was working with zucchini. There was certainly onion in there and mushrooms. I don't think I chopped it on the onion because I chopped a finger on an onion before when I was younger. I swear that my whole hand smelled like onion for like a month, or it was,
It permeated.
I think it got it.
So you
exactly.
can't pinpoint what vegetable this was for this.
I was trying to work through it. Don't rush me. There was a green pepper.
Okay.
I think it could have been the odd shape, and green peppers sort of have that give.
Sure.
So it could have been that, I think. But it was certainly on the is one of those heavier vegetables that were going to take a while to cook. A carrot, maybe, or let's see, what else was going on? Did I have a squash? Yeah, I don't know.
So you don't know.
I don't know, but
Did you eat it afterwards?
I was about to say, I know it was an earlier one because I did have to make the decision, like, well, am I going to go to the ER right now or continue to make this meal I was really excited about?
They do say don't go to the ER on an empty stomach, so I should
Let's swim in.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to swim, which is a huge bummer for me because I swim, laps every day. Yeah, you can go to the ER. For the audience, we should be clear. You can go to the ER on an empty stomach. But I didn't really want to do that, and it didn't seem so bad. I'm not sure where the fingernail ended up, part of my fingernail. If that's...
So the mystery
like
is alive.
Prime detail.
What was the first thing you said after the fateful slice?
I don't feel comfortable repeating that on camera.
Probably something like, my finger!
Oh no! It was shocking. I was in shock. I washed it off, put on some Neosporin, put about 10 Band-Aids on it. It's like, this is fine. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Neosporin.
Did I answer your question?
No, but that's okay. I don't think you know the answer to it.
Oh, that's right. Which vegetable? Yeah,
Right.
I was traumatized.
I
so
understand.
I blocked it out. It'll make its way out of my music somehow.
No doubt.
Yeah, sort of leak out.
Ballad of the Squad.
I think
it
it
a
was
leak?
leaks. I think it was a
It was a leak. It's gotta be.
I do not believe you. There's no way.
I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm also not sure how long. I didn't look at the time when we started this. Did either of you guys?
Nope.
Let's see. I started talking about 50 minutes ago. So,
Cool.
I don't know. We climaxed with the story of me chopping my finger and stir fries. Do you guys have some favorite stir fry ingredients that may be unusual?
Well, I don't know if it would be unusual, but bok choy.
Oh, totally.
And I love to throw that in right at the end in a very hot wok for like maybe 30 seconds. And it just gets that like quick cook and retains the crunch.
Yeah.
I feel like that really elevates a good stir fry.
Absolutely.
Viewers at home,
it's a
give it a try.
subtle flavor, the bok choy, but it does that a lot.
I don't know anything about cooking or stir fry or just...
Oh.
Yeah, so I have no special ingredients that I would put in one. 'Cause I
Yes.
don't even know how to make one. I mean, I guess I could figure it out. Rice? No. I'm not
You
good
could
at
put
it.
a stir
You
fry
probably
over
don't
rice.
you want to put it over rice. You probably wouldn't want to put it
Don't put the
in
rice
wok.
in there at the same time.
That'd
Yeah.
be fried rice, though.
If the rice has been prepared previously,
Let's assume it has.
and chilled out for a little bit.
Yeah, I made some amazing fried rice the other day, and it was rice that I'd cooked the night before, and then crisped it up in a hot pan. And don't shy away from the high heat. You got to get it cranked, and you might think the rice will stick, but it won't, and it'll crisp up, and it'll turn this nice color. You're gonna love it.
I don't know. Anytime I turn the
notes.
heat up high, the lady in the house starts yelling at me. It's all you men.
We'll have
You
to-
just turn the heat up to 9 or high.
This sounds entertaining.
Every
We'll
single
get the
time. Like,
cameras and
maybe it
mics over there
requires
next
that
time.
kind of heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do a cooking show.
It's to no avail. I would, you know what? I could
Catch
make
a sample?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you tell her if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
No.
Yeah, you should
she would
never
not be
do that.
amused by
No.
that.
Yeah, we wouldn't see Steve after
Do not
that.
risk that.
She would be very mad.
Do you guys have any hanging threads? Anything that we should talk about? Anything about music that's particularly insightful? I'm so sorry, Steve. I told you I was going to ask you about your traumas and about the deep.
We
deeper
touched on them a
things.
little bit. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to them next time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's something kind of exciting on the horizon for me musically. I was fortunate enough to be invited to join the Papadosio guys
Ooh, sweet.
for a couple months, play some shows with them. I'll be taking Billy's spot on synthesizers, keyboards, and his whole keyboard station. So I've been...
They use a clock too, right? Are you in charge of all of that?
You know, what's nice is they were like, we're going to automate all the sounds. So once the song switches, all the patches will switch. We'll see if that's actually true. Hopefully, most of it will be automated, but I've been familiarizing myself with his setup and listening to a lot of Papadosio and learning these keyboard parts, which has been really fun. And so, yeah, there's going to be some bigger shows that I'll be playing with them, which is a little scary, but really exciting. And
that's great. Yeah, they're pretty popular.
Yeah,
pretty
luckily
huge.
we'll have a talkback mic on stage, so if I'm very lost, I'll be like, somebody help me. Where are we? What key are we in? I don't think it's going to come to that, but it's a nice fallback.
Sure, Sam Browse is in that, right?
Yep.
And a friend of the show. I'm sure he will help out.
Oh, but yeah, he's already been
a friendly
huge
dude.
help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about it knowing Sam will be there to help.
He's a keyboardist too, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's dual keyboards happening.
Yeah, Sam takes over most of like the piano and electric piano parts. There's some exceptions.
That's why I hesitated. I was like, wait, keyboard.
And then he'll play. There's a few synth parts that he plays as well. And then there's going to be a lot of open improvisational moments as well, which I'm really excited about. When I played in Third Nature, that was a big part of our shows was improvising. And
Can I ask, what percentage of solos do you start with the pitch wheel? Like, wow.
Well, you know what's interesting? A lot, but this Roland Phantom S that I was referring to earlier, the pitch bend there's something wrong with it, whereas it makes some of the patches go out of key, so I have to go into the patch and remove the pitch bend parameters so that the patch stays in tune. And there's been times where I go to use that pitch bend and I'm like, oh no, I can't do that.
Devastating.
But
yeah.
I am a big fan of... I try not to overuse it. I like to think I use it tastefully, but I do love to use the pitch bend.
Oh, me too.
It's a good time.
I've got the Model D over there as pitch bend. First, it locks really hard in the center, and then it bends like a fifth or something. So it's pretty unusable.
I noticed that. I was trying to use it in real time, and I was like, this is not practical for what I'm trying to do.
No. And then my other actual keyboard, that Casio over there, that I don't love as much as the Juno, doesn't even have a pitch
the way
wheel.
that you say Casio.
Casio. And Steve, don't you have a collection of organs? You're more of a...
I've got a collection of pianos and electric pianos. I've got, a Steinway upright, and then I've got a Fender Rhodes Mark II. I got a Fender Rhodes student model. I've got a Wurlitzer electric piano student model, Fender piano bass. But things come in and out, I work on them, I rebuild them, I repair them, and then if I like it, I keep it. If not, I sell it.
Somebody gives it to you to repair, but then you decide you like it, and you're
I
like,
sell
I'm
it.
sorry. It's...
Yeah.
You sell it, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not really much in the synth world. I like playing with them. I just have never had one and don't know a lot about it. So I kind of stick more just to you hit this key and this is the sound that comes out of it,
Yeah, I would love an actual keyboard down here. I know Steinways, you can, I guess rent to own one, right? For $100. Is that how you managed to get that down there?
This one I got, it's a 1914 upright. I got it when I was living in New York from this school in Lower Manhattan. Got it just for the price of the move, and then I completely rebuilt it. And so, that took a lot of time and a fair amount of money, just for the parts, but all the labor was just my time. And so, rebuilt it up there and I love it. It sounds great, plays great. And, once I moved down here, I was able to move it a year later. So
that's a special connection with that instrument.
Definitely.
Too, for sure.
No doubt.
To be so inside it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, all right. I guess speaking of instruments for about an hour now, and some stir fry.
Yeah.
Let's jam, but not cook a stir fry right now.
It sounds great.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much for coming on, Steve Okonski and Merrick Noyes. And I'm Sam Irvin. This is Asheville 8 p.m. Note. And we're going to take a quick break and then come back and jam. Thanks for watching. All right. Or listening. This might be a podcast.
Thank you.
It is a podcast.
Yeah.
that changes the camera angle. Oh, okay. Yeah. Are you guys happy with your stations?
Yeah, still warming up. Yeah.
That felt like a 80s cop show that we were getting.
I love that.
sounded good. I think you're
very fun.
keeping it that like. I'm feeling like that 80s.
Yeah,
It's
like
all
that,
the
like
same.
really like quiet.
Yeah.
Meredith's weaving cat, huh?
Yeah, how did that feel? Can you do some of that?
Yeah, I like wasn't using my finger, but it was flopping around. So
Yeah, even if you're not using it, it's an extension of the hand after all.
So it's probably smart.
people, that's how they record their album. Some people. Actually, yeah, we did that. We tracked for like 10 hours at drop of sun, and that was just too many hours of improv. We came to realize you start to lose ideas. Totally. Your pool of creative resources becomes tapped, especially when there's no audience to like pull off. Like that's a big thing with Mercury. It's for like.
But did you do like how many days did you do that?
At drop of sun, one day, one long day. Yeah. It felt like we were trying to like capture something that typically happens like at night on a stage with like other people in the room, and like there's often like dancers that she invites who are like come specifically to like dance and like be part of the show. So there's just a lot of like elements missing. So it's like, all right, let's jam, but make it sound really good for recording, and we're paying for this time, so make sure it's a good jam. Yeah, it's tricky. This is a nice setup though, because like it's obvious that we're all being recorded, but it doesn't feel like we're in high pressure.
Trying to keep it cash. It's just a fun. A guy, most of my gigs are like weddings and stuff, which are like high pressure, And
What does that entail when you do a wedding gig?
well, classical guitar is my main thing, so
Oh,
it's
cool.
like 2 hours every night.
Sweet.
Working through craft and preparing that way, arranging stuff. And then show up, play some prelude music, so sometimes cocktail hour. But I'm usually home by like 8 or 9. It's pretty awesome. I'm really hesitant. I'd like to play more like rock stuff.
Did you end up ever going to do a function?
I've been procrastinating. Yeah. I will at some point. How about you? Are you there?
I mean, I think I've gone to like 2.
I've also never gone.
So ready.
My cousin Will worked at the music hall for a while. He would be working that event. And he sort of was like, "Don't go." Although he's just like shell shocked from like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's the danger that the funk jam in itself as a name is a slippery slope. Once people are going to a funk jam, you know, it's almost like permission to like. Sure. I didn't have a word in mind, so that's as good as that. Thank you. Can I keep it?
When I was younger in Asheville, I would go to the funk jam like every week just to hang out. Be up late.
Yeah, I think Will was jaded because he had to like go into work late and stay late, and he was like, I don't want to be here. And I think like being there every week, you just are inevitably subject to some really predictable chord progressions and like really monotonous bass lines, and just maybe too many musicians trying to be heard. It's the classic jam paradox.
Do you guys want to jam a little bit more? Or like 40 minutes? It's up to you though.
I would get one more in.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you guys have favorite spots to sit?
I felt least confident with drums, so.
I'll get back on the drums.
Okay.
That's where I feel the best, I think.
Merrick, we haven't done one where you're over there.
Well,
Out here.
that's true. Let's do that.
Well, I did start over there.
Oh, right. So then you obviously have to do one more.
Permutations.
Last time I played this, was a lot. Well, thanks so much again for coming on and jamming, you guys. Thanks for inviting us. Yeah, it's nice to get to know you. Nice to jam. We checked the boxes of why I do the stream. And thanks to anybody who still watches. I think that the conversation part's for them and the jam part's for us. So I think about it, yeah. But yeah, we'll probably be back next week. I don't know when this is going to air.